My name is Rebecca Hall. I'm 43 years old. At 6:58 on a Saturday evening in September, I found out my family had thrown me a birthday dinner without inviting me. Not a dinner near my birthday. Not a dinner where they forgot to call. A birthday dinner. For me. With my name written in gold script across a white bakery cake. Happy birthday, Rebecca. The photo appeared in our extended family group chat because my Aunt Denise, who had never mastered the difference between sending a picture to one person and sending it to everyone, posted it with the caption, "Beautiful evening celebrating our Rebecca and family togetherness." Our Rebecca. I was sitting alone on my couch in sweatpants, eating leftover vegetable soup from a chipped blue bowl, with a heating pad behind my back and my phone balanced on the armrest. I had just returned from visiting my grandmother at her assisted living apartment, like I did every Sunday, except that week I had gone on Saturday because her pharmacy delivery had been delayed and she needed help sorting pills. I had turned 43 2 days earlier. My mother had texted, "Happy birthday, honey. Busy week, we'll celebrate soon." My father had sent a thumbs-up emoji under my mother's message. My sister Lauren had sent nothing. My brother, Michael, had sent a meme of a raccoon wearing a party hat at 11:38 at night. I had told myself not to care. That is one of the lies women like me get good at telling ourselves. Then the photo arrived. There they all were, my parents, smiling across a long restaurant table. Lauren, in a green wrap dress, one hand placed delicately on our grandmother's shoulder. Michael, holding a glass of red wine. Aunt Denise. Uncle Paul. 3 cousins. Lauren's husband, Adam. Michael's fiancée, Kayla. And Grandma. Evelyn Hall. 89 years old. Pearl earrings, silver hair pinned softly back, bright lipstick, and the expression of a woman who had already noticed every lie in the room and was deciding how long to let it breathe. In front of her sat the cake with my name on it. There was an empty chair at the far end of the table. Maybe for symbolism, maybe for convenience, maybe because no one cared enough to crop it out. I stared at the photo until the letters blurred. Happy birthday, Rebecca. My birthday cake had been served to everyone except me. Then, the second photo appeared. Lauren leaning over Grandma with a hand on her shoulder, smiling too widely. Caption from Aunt Denise. Lauren gave such a sweet toast about sisterhood and how much Rebecca means to us. I had not spoken to Lauren in 3 weeks, because she had accused me of hovering around Grandma for attention after I refused to let her borrow Grandma's car, a car Grandma no longer drove but refused to sell because it reminded her of Grandpa. Then the third photo, Michael cutting the cake. My cake. The slice was large. He had always taken the largest piece. I did not cry. Not at first. I zoomed in on Grandma's face. She was not smiling in the third photo. She was looking at the empty chair. That was when my phone buzzed with a private message from my cousin Sarah. Did you know about this? I typed back. No. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. Then appeared again. Sarah wrote, "They told Grandma you couldn't make it because of work. Work. It was Saturday. I worked Monday through Friday as a claims supervisor for a regional insurance company. My family knew that. Grandma knew that. Everyone at that table knew that." I looked at the group chat again. Another message appeared from Aunt Denise. So grateful Grandma could be there before her meeting with Mr. Langford next week. Family is everything. Mr. Langford, Grandma's lawyer. My stomach tightened. There it was. The reason for the dinner. Not my birthday. Not family togetherness. Not affection. A performance. Grandma had told us 2 months earlier that she intended to update her will. Nothing dramatic, she said. Just housekeeping. She was selling her old house, adjusting accounts, making charitable gifts, and updating personal items. Since that announcement, my family had developed a sudden, aggressive interest in Grandma's comfort. Lauren sent flowers. Michael called twice in 1 week after not calling for 2 months. My mother started talking about legacy. My father offered to review Grandma's finances, though he had not visited her bank in years. Aunt Denise began sending Bible verses about family unity. And now they had gathered at a restaurant, invited everyone except the person whose birthday they used as decoration, and lied to Grandma about why I was absent. They wanted to look like a loving family before the will update. They forgot one important thing. Grandma knew who visited her every Sunday. She knew who clipped coupons with her, changed the batteries in her hearing aids, brought lemon cookies from the bakery on Chestnut Street, read her mail aloud when her eyes were tired, called the pharmacy, fixed the cable remote, washed her delicate sweaters, and sat through reruns of old courtroom shows because she liked to announce the verdict before the judge. She knew who showed up without cameras. And what my family absolutely did not know was that Grandma's lawyer had been keeping a visitor log, receipt file, and caregiving statement for months at Grandma's request. Not because she was confused, because she was not. The next message in the group chat came from Lauren. "Wish you could have been there, Beck. Grandma was so happy. Beck." She called me Beck only when she wanted to sound affectionate in public. I looked at the photo of Grandma looking at the empty chair. Then I typed one sentence into the group chat. I wasn't invited. No one responded for 43 seconds. Then my mother called. I did not answer. My father called. I did not answer. Lauren texted privately, "Don't start drama." This was for Grandma. I looked at those words. This was for Grandma. No, it was about Grandma. That was not the same thing. I replied. "Then Grandma should know the truth," Lauren wrote back immediately. "You're so bitter." I placed my phone face down on the couch. Then I stood, walked to the small desk by my window, opened the folder labeled Grandma Sunday Notes, and pulled out 3 years of receipts, visit calendars, medication lists, appointment notes, and letters Grandma had asked me to keep copies of. The next week, at the family dinner they arranged with Mr. Langford present, they expected Grandma's lawyer to witness their devotion. Instead, he asked one question. Why wasn't Rebecca invited to her own birthday dinner? This is that story. Before I tell you how my family learned that an empty chair can become evidence when the lawyer already has the visitor logs, tell me where you are watching or listening from, and what time it is there. I always wonder who hears stories like this while remembering the moment family performed love for an audience and forgot the person who had actually been there. And if you connect with stories about women who were erased, underestimated, betrayed, and quietly took their power back, like and subscribe to Ultimate Revenge. Some women do not beg for a seat at the table. Some women let the lawyer ask why it was empty. I grew up in Dayton, Ohio, in a brick ranch house with a narrow hallway, a maple tree in the yard, and a dining table where my mother believed family image mattered more than family truth. My parents, Thomas and Carol Hall, were not villains in the simple way stories sometimes make people villains. They came to school events. They bought birthday gifts. They took family photos every Christmas in matching sweaters. They taught us manners, church attendance, thank you notes, and the importance of never letting outsiders know when something was wrong. That last lesson became the family religion. There were 3 of us. Lauren first. Beautiful, dramatic, persuasive Lauren, who could spill grape juice on white carpet and somehow leave the room with everyone asking if she was emotionally okay. Then me. Rebecca. Quiet, practical, observant. The child who knew where the scissors were, which bills were due, what Grandma liked in her tea, and when Mom's smile had become a warning. Then Michael. The youngest, the long-awaited boy. Charming, careless, and forgiven so automatically that consequence never really learned his address. In our family, Lauren got attention because she created weather. Michael got attention because he was the sun. I got responsibility because I could carry it. My mother called me dependable. My father called me level-headed. Grandma called me by my full name when she was serious. Rebecca Ann. She never used dependable as a way to avoid helping me. That was one of the reasons I loved her. Grandma Evelyn was my father's mother. She lived in a white 2-story house on Laurel Avenue for 47 years with my grandfather, Arthur, who died when I was 26. After he died, the house stayed exactly the same for a long time. His chair remained angled toward the window. His tools hung in the basement. His reading glasses stayed on the side table until Grandma finally moved them into a drawer and cried for 2 hours afterward. Grandma was small, sharp, and elegant in a way that did not require money. She wore lipstick to get the mail. She ironed pillowcases. She kept peppermint candies in a crystal dish and remembered everyone's favorite pie. She also had a memory, like a locked filing cabinet. If someone borrowed $10 in 1989, she remembered. If someone missed a visit after promising to come, she remembered. If someone was kind when no one was watching, She remembered that too. The symbolic object in this story was Grandma's Sunday teacup. White porcelain, blue flowers, gold rim worn thin near the handle. It had been part of a set once, but the others broke over the years. She drank from that cup every Sunday afternoon at 3, no matter what else was happening. After Grandpa died, I started visiting on Sundays because the house felt too quiet and because I missed him too. At first I went once a month, then twice, then every Sunday. It became our ritual. I brought lemon cookies, she brewed tea. We sat at her kitchen table. She asked about my job. I asked about her church friends. She complained about the neighbor's dog. I complained about health insurance claim codes. She told stories about Grandpa I had heard before and still liked hearing. When her arthritis worsened, I opened jars. When her eyes tired, I read mail. When her hearing aids beeped, I changed batteries. When the cable remote stopped working, I fixed it. When she fell, the first time, I was the one she called. Not because I was closest. Because she knew I would answer. Lauren lived 20 minutes away and visited on holidays, birthdays, and whenever she needed a photo for social media. She loved Grandma, but she loved the idea of being seen, loving Grandma more. Michael visited when he needed cash, advice he would ignore, or a place to drop off his dog. My father visited occasionally and talked about repairs he never finished. My mother sent casseroles twice a year and called it support. No one wanted to admit I had become the regular one, because admitting that would require asking why they were not. For years, I did not resent it. Not mostly. I loved Grandma's company. I liked the slow rhythm of Sundays. I liked being useful in ways that felt chosen, not assigned. I liked that with Grandma, my competence was seen as care, not as an excuse for everyone else to disappear. Then Grandma moved into assisted living. Not because she wanted to. Because the second fall frightened her. She broke her wrist and spent 3 nights in the hospital. Lauren posted a picture of herself holding Grandma's hand and captioned it, "Family first, always." She stayed 27 minutes and left because she had brunch plans. I stayed until the discharge nurse gave instructions. The assisted living apartment was nice. Small, sunny, with a kitchenette, wide bathroom, emergency pull cords, and a courtyard where Grandma could sit near hydrangeas. She hated it for 6 weeks, then admitted the food was better than she expected, and the maintenance man was handsome, for someone under 70. Sunday visits continued. The teacup came with her. I wrapped it in a towel, placed it in a box labeled fragile, and set it on the shelf above her kitchenette sink. "You remembered," she said. "Of course." She touched my cheek. "People say that too easily. You actually do." That sentence stayed with me. The will update began in July. Grandma called me on a Tuesday evening. "Rebecca Ann, I need you to drive me to Mr. Langford's office next week." "Are you okay?" "I am old." "That is not a crisis." "What's the appointment for?" "My will." My stomach tightened. "Do you want Dad to take you?" "No." "Are you sure?" "If I wanted your father, I would call your father." That was Grandma. At Mr. Langford's office, she sat upright in a navy dress and pearl earrings, the Sunday teacup somehow in her tote bag because she disliked office coffee. Mr. Langford was in his 70s, with silver hair, careful hands, and the patience of a man who had watched families become animals over furniture. Grandma told him she wanted to update the will, sell the Laurel Avenue house, create a small education fund for great-grandchildren if any arrived, leave gifts to the church library and the animal shelter, and distribute personal items clearly. Then she looked at me. "Rebecca gets the teacup." I laughed softly. "Grandma, it's your cup. And when it is not, it will be yours." Mr. Langford wrote it down. She continued. "Rebecca also receives my medical file copies, personal correspondence, and any caregiving reimbursement account." I sat straighter. "What?" Grandma ignored me and continued. "My children and grandchildren receive according to the updated percentages we discussed. But I want documentation attached regarding visits and care." Mr. Langford nodded as if this were not surprising. I said, "Grandma?" She looked at me. "Do not grandma me in front of my lawyer." I closed my mouth. Mr. Langford explained that Grandma had asked the assisted living facility for visitor logs, pharmacy records, transportation receipts, and notes about who regularly assisted her. She had also asked me, without saying why, to keep copies of receipts when I bought things for her or took her to appointments. I had done it because Grandma asked. Not because I expected anything. She said, I am not confused. I am old. People mix those up when inheritance is nearby. Mr. Langford smiled faintly. The updated will was not finalized that day. He needed to draft, review, and schedule signatures. Grandma said she wanted one family dinner first, not to discuss numbers, but to observe. Observe. That was her word. When Grandma said observe, someone was already in trouble. By August, word had spread that the will was being updated. I did not spread it. Grandma did. Very casually, like tossing seed near pigeons. At Sunday lunch with my parents, she said, Mr. Langford and I are cleaning up my estate papers. My mother's fork paused. Dad said, do you need me to review anything? Grandma said, no. Lauren said, you know we just want what's best for you. Grandma smiled. How comforting. Michael said, Grandma, don't let lawyers confuse things. Grandma looked at him. Michael, lawyers confuse things less than relatives. I nearly choked on my water. After that, the performance began. Lawrence sent flowers to Grandma's apartment with a card that said, thinking of you always. Grandma called me and said, these smell like guilt. Michael called her twice in 1 week and asked if she needed anything. She asked him to bring hearing aid batteries. He forgot. Mom started talking about hosting more family dinners while we still can, as if Grandma were leaving for war instead of updating documents. Dad offered to fix the wobbly shelf in her apartment and then did not bring tools. Aunt Denise called Grandma our matriarch in the family chat, which made Grandma ask me what exactly Denise thought a matriarch did. Mostly scare people, I said. Then she may continue. I kept visiting Sundays, no flowers, no captions, just tea, cookies, mail, pills, and time. My birthday was September 21st. I turned 43. It was not a milestone birthday, but it mattered to me because the year before had been hard. I had gone through a breakup with a man named Stephen who thought my devotion to Grandma was excessive, but expected me to remember his mother's birthday. I had changed departments at work. I had started therapy. I had begun asking myself why I was so good at being present for other people, and so hesitant to ask anyone to be present for me. I planned nothing big. Maybe dinner with my parents. Maybe cake with Grandma on Sunday. On my actual birthday, Grandma called at 7:02 in the morning. She sang the whole birthday song in a voice that sounded like a church bell being pushed uphill. I laughed so hard I cried. Grandma, you're gonna strain something. I have survived childbirth and your grandfather's driving. I can survive singing. She told me to come Sunday because she had a card and, quote, one inappropriate opinion to give me. I told her I look forward to both, my parents texted. Michael sent the raccoon meme. Lauren stayed silent. 2 days later, my family held the birthday dinner. Without me. The restaurant was Bellini's, an Italian place with white tablecloths, dark wood, and a private back room that Grandma liked because it was quiet enough for her hearing aids. They invited my parents, Lauren and Adam, Michael and Kayla, Aunt Denise and Uncle Paul, 2 cousins, and Grandma. They told Grandma I could not attend because of work. That detail mattered. They could have said I was sick. They could have said I had plans. They chose work because they wanted to make my absence sound self-inflicted. Rebecca is too busy. Rebecca is always working. Rebecca does so much, but she could not make it. Then they placed my name on a cake and used me as decor. When I typed, I wasn't invited, chaos began. Mom's first voicemail. Rebecca, honey, there's been a misunderstanding. Dad's. Call your mother. You embarrassed her in the group chat. Lauren's text. You don't have to make Grandma's night about you. Michael's. I thought you knew, lol. I did not respond until the next morning. I called Grandma first. She answered on the 3rd ring. Good morning, birthday girl. My throat tightened. Grandma. I wondered when you'd call. You knew. She made a small sound. I suspected at the restaurant. I knew when Denise posted the picture. Why didn't you say anything? I wanted to see who would. I closed my eyes. And? You did. I didn't want to upset you. Rebecca Ann, I am 89, not porcelain. I laughed through tears. She continued. They told me you had work. I didn't. I know. You were with me until 4 helping sort pills. I had forgotten that. Of course she had not. She said, do not worry, Mr. Langford is joining us next Saturday. Joining us? The family dinner your mother planned. I sat up. What family dinner? The one where they intend to discuss my wishes in a loving environment. I could hear the quotation marks. Grandma, I invited my lawyer. Does everyone know? No. I looked toward my window. Should I come? She was quiet for a moment, then said yes. But do not defend yourself too early. People reveal more when they believe they are winning. I wrote that down later. People reveal more when they believe they are winning. I spent the week gathering documents. Not because Grandma asked. Because I needed to feel steady. Visit calendar. Receipts. Pharmacy pickups. Assisted living notes. Text from Grandma asking for help. Text from family canceling visits. Screenshots from the birthday dinner group chat. Sarah's message confirming the lie. My own work schedule showing I was not working that Saturday. Lauren's don't start drama text. Grandma called on Friday. Bring the folder, she said. How did you know I made a folder? Because you are you. That was love, in Grandma's language. The family dinner happened at my parents' house, Saturday, 6 o'clock. My mother had cooked as if a senator were coming. Roast chicken, potatoes, green beans, salad, rolls, and a chocolate cake she pretended was casual. My father wore a button-down shirt. Lauren arrived in a cream dress and pearls she had borrowed from Grandma years earlier and never returned. Michael wore cologne loud enough to enter the room before he did. I arrived at 5:58 with a navy folder and no apology. The room chilled when I walked in. Lauren looked surprised. That told me everything. You came, she said. It's a family dinner. Her smile was thin. I thought you might still be upset. I am. Mom appeared from the kitchen. Rebecca, please, not tonight. Noted. Grandma arrived at 6:10 with Mr. Langford. The room went silent. Grandma wore a burgundy jacket, lipstick, and the expression of a woman arriving at theater she had funded. Mr. Langford carried a leather folio and greeted everyone politely. My father looked confused. Mr. Langford, I didn't realize you were joining us. Grandma said, I invited him. Mom's face tightened. How nice. Lauren recovered fastest. Grandma, you look beautiful. Grandma said, I know. Michael coughed into his hand. Dinner began with performance. Lauren talked about how important family memories were. Michael said Grandma's house had always been the center of the family, though he had not helped clean it before sale. Mom said she wanted Grandma to feel surrounded by love. Dad said legal paperwork could be stressful, and family should simplify things for her. Mr. Langford ate politely and said almost nothing. I watched. Grandma watched more. After dinner, Mom brought out coffee. My birthday cake was not mentioned. Interesting. Then Dad cleared his throat. Mother, since Mr. Langford is here, maybe we should discuss what you need from us. Grandma sipped tea from a mug because Mom had not thought to bring the Sunday teacup from her apartment. What I need, she asked. Dad smiled. Yes, we're all here. We want to make sure your wishes are honored. Grandma looked at Mr. Langford. He opened his folio. I can clarify process, but Mrs. Hall's wishes are already documented. Lauren leaned forward. Of course, we just want transparency. Grandma raised one eyebrow. That is new. Lauren flushed. Michael jumped in. I think what Lauren means is nobody wants surprises. Mr. Langford said, then perhaps we should begin with last Saturday. The room went still. My mother's hand froze around the coffee pot. Dad frowned. Last Saturday. Mr. Langford looked around the table. The birthday dinner held for Rebecca. No one moved. Lauren's smile became glass. What about it? Mr. Langford looked at me, then back at the table. Why wasn't Rebecca invited to her own birthday dinner? There it was, not shouted, not emotional. A question placed gently in the center of the room where no one could step around it. My mother set down the coffee pot too hard. Dad said, that was a misunderstanding. Grandma looked at him. Explain. Dad glanced at Mom. Mom said, We thought Rebecca had work. I opened my folder but did not speak. Mr. Langford asked, "Who told you that?" Mom's mouth opened, closed. Lauren said, "I think someone assumed." Grandma turned to her. "Who?" Lauren's face colored. "Grandma, I don't remember every detail." Mr. Langford removed one page from his folio. Mrs. Hall asked me to preserve a copy of the group chat photographs and messages. There is also a message from Lauren to Rebecca after the dinner stating, "Don't start drama." This was for Grandma. Lauren stared at him. He continued, "That suggests Miss Hall was aware Rebecca had not been invited." My father's face darkened. "Is this really necessary?" Grandma said, "Yes." One word. The table obeyed. Mr. Langford placed another document down. Mrs. Hall also asked me to review visitor logs from Rosewood Assisted Living for the past 18 months. Lauren blinked. "Visitor logs?" Grandma smiled faintly. "Buildings keep records when people sign in, dear." Michael shifted in his chair. Mr. Langford continued. Rebecca Hall visited an average of once weekly, usually Sundays, with additional visits for pharmacy management, medical appointments, and household support. Thomas Hall visited 4 times in 18 months. Carol Hall visited 6 times. Lauren Mills visited 7 times, 3 of those in the month following Mrs. Hall's announcement that she would update her estate plan. Michael Hall visited 3 times. Michael said, "I don't always sign in." Grandma looked at him. "You don't always visit." Silence. Aunt Denise, who had been unusually quiet, stared at her plate. Mr. Langford placed another page down. Mrs. Hall also maintained a reimbursement record. Rebecca paid out of pocket for medication copays, clothing alterations, hearing aid batteries, transportation, and personal care items totaling $2,186 over the last 2 years. Some were reimbursed. Many were declined by Rebecca. Mom looked at me, surprised. I kept my face still. Grandma said, "She brings lemon cookies too, those are not listed. I consider them priceless." No one laughed because they were not sure if they were allowed. I nearly did. Lauren said softly, "Grandma, nobody is saying Rebecca doesn't help." Grandma turned to her. "You did say she hovered." Lauren's face went pale. "I didn't mean." "You said she hovered because she liked feeling important." Lauren looked at me. "I said nothing," Grandma continued. "Rebecca has never once asked me what is in my will. You, however, asked me 3 times whether the Laurel Avenue house money would be divided equally." Lauren swallowed. "That's not fair." Grandma leaned back. "No, dear, it is exact." The sentence sounded familiar because Grandma had taught it to me. Dad tried again. "Mother, I think emotions are running high." Grandma looked at him. "My emotions are calm. My disappointment is organized." That line deserved a plaque. Mr. Langford opened another folder. "Mrs. Hall has asked me to explain that her updated estate plan is complete and signed. This dinner is not a negotiation." Michael sat up. "Already signed?" "Yes." Lauren's voice sharpened. "When?" Grandma smiled. "Before dessert." That was not literally true. It had been signed earlier in the week. But the timing was spiritually accurate. Mom said, "You signed without us." Grandma's expression hardened. "Carol, my will is not a group project." The room went quiet again. I need to pause here for a second. If you have ever watched people perform love right before money, property, or inheritance was being discussed, you know exactly what that dinner felt like. It was not about the will. It was about the insult of pretending a cake with your name on it could replace actually inviting you to sit at the table. If this story is hitting close to home, leave a comment and tell me who in your family shows up when there is no audience. And if you have not already, subscribe to Ultimate Revenge. The quiet part is over. Mr. Langford did not read the will. That was important. Grandma did not want a dramatic reading like a movie. She wanted correction, not chaos. What he did explain was the care documentation. Mrs. Hall's estate plan includes specific personal bequests and a caregiving reimbursement provision. These are based on her expressed wishes and documented assistance. The distribution of remaining assets is her decision. The existence of a birthday dinner held without Rebecca, while representing to Mrs. Hall that Rebecca was unavailable, was relevant to Mrs. Hall only because it confirmed concerns she already had. Lauren whispered, "So you punished us." Grandma's eyes flashed. "No, I believed you." Lauren looked confused. Grandma continued, "You all wanted to show me who you were. I let you." No one spoke. Then Grandma turned to me. "Rebecca Ann, do you want to say anything?" Every face turned. For once, the room had no choice but to look at the empty chair made flesh. I could have said many things. I could have listed every Sunday, every canceled visit, every time Mom asked me to handle Grandma's pharmacy because she was busy, every time Lauren posted a photo but did not stay, every time Michael promised to fix something and forgot, every time Dad told me Grandma was lucky to have me while never asking if I was tired. But Grandma had already taught me, people reveal more when they believe they are winning. They had revealed enough. I said, "You put my name on a cake and lied about why I wasn't there." My mother started crying. I continued, "You used my birthday to perform family love for Grandma. You didn't forget me. You excluded me because my presence would have interrupted the story." Lauren looked away. Dad rubbed his forehead. I looked at Grandma. "I'm sorry you were put in that position." Grandma's eyes softened. "Do not apologize for other people's manners." I almost smiled. Then I looked at the table. "I don't want a birthday dinner from people who only celebrate me when I'm useful as a prop." No one answered. Good. Grandma stood then, with Mr. Langford's help. "I am tired," she said. "Rebecca will drive me home." My mother flinched. "I can drive you." Grandma picked up her purse. "I know." That was all. I drove Grandma back to Rosewood in silence for the first 10 minutes. She looked out the window at the streetlights sliding across the glass. Finally, I said, "Are you okay?" She sighed. "I am old enough that disappointment no longer surprises me. That helps." "I'm sorry." "Rebecca." "I know. Don't apologize for other people's manners." "Correct." We stopped at a red light. She looked at me. "Did it hurt very much?" "The dinner?" "Yes." I swallowed. "Yes." She nodded. "Me too." That was the part one had not considered enough. They had not only excluded me, they had used Grandma too. When we reached Rosewood, I walked her upstairs. She asked for tea. I made it in the Sunday teacup. We sat at her small table near the window, the same way we always did. She reached into her purse and pulled out a small wrapped package. "Your birthday present," she said. I stared. "Grandma!" "Open it." Inside was a silver keychain shaped like a tiny teacup. I laughed and cried at the same time. "It's ridiculous," she said. I saw it in the gift shop downstairs and thought of myself. "It's perfect." "No," she said. "I am perfect. It is adequate." I laughed harder. Then she grew serious. "The real teacup is yours when I'm done with it." "I know. Do not let anyone make you feel strange for receiving what I choose to give." "I'll try." "No, do it." That was Grandma. The fallout came in waves. First, the group chat went silent. Then Lauren posted a vague quote on social media about family members who weaponize kindness. Sarah sent it to me with a single eye roll emoji. I did not respond publicly. I had learned that silence irritates performers more than argument. Michael texted, "I didn't know you weren't invited. Sorry." I replied, "You cut the cake." He wrote, "Yeah, that was messed up. Not a full apology, but something." My mother called 3 days later. I let it go to voicemail. She said, "Rebecca, I'm sorry if you felt excluded." I deleted it. Dad called the next day. He said, "Your mother is very upset." I said, "I am not available to manage Mom's feelings about excluding me." He exhaled. "That's not fair." "No, Dad, it is exact." He went quiet. Then he said, "I should have asked where you were." "Yes." "I thought you had work." "Did you ask me?" "No." "Did it make sense that I would miss my own birthday dinner?" He did not answer. "Did it make sense that I had work on Saturday night?" Still nothing. I continued, "You believed the version that was most convenient." He sighed. "I'm sorry." It was the first apology that did not include my mother's distress as the main subject. I said thank you. Lauren was different. Lauren sent a long text 4 days after the dinner. "I know you're enjoying this. But Grandma is elderly and you shouldn't be filling her head with negative things. We all love her. You don't own her because you visit more. Also, the birthday dinner was Mom's idea. I was trying to make the best of it. I stared at the message. Then I forwarded it to Mr. Langford because Grandma had asked me to send any communications about her capacity or estate pressure. He replied, "Received." That was all. 2 days later, Lauren received a letter from Mr. Langford, reminding all family members not to pressure, manipulate, isolate, or make claims regarding Mrs. Hall's estate plan, and clarifying that Mrs. Hall had been evaluated as fully competent. Lauren called me immediately. I did not answer. She left a voicemail. "You sent my private text to Grandma's lawyer? Are you insane?" I saved it, forwarded it, received. Sometimes revenge is not loud. Sometimes it is a lawyer replying with one word. The personal bequests became known only gradually because Grandma chose to tell certain people herself. The Sunday teacup to me. Grandpa's watch to my father. Grandma's pearl earrings to my mother. The recipe box to Aunt Denise. A quilt to Sarah. A small education fund for future great-grandchildren, managed by a trust, not by their parents. A caregiving reimbursement and additional personal gift to me, which Grandma insisted was not payment for love but acknowledgement for time, expenses, and consistency. Lauren hated that, not openly at first. She said things like, "I just worry this creates division," and "Grandma shouldn't feel obligated," and "Rebecca doesn't need extra." There it was. Again, need. My family always measured fairness by who seemed needier, not by who had shown up. Grandma addressed it directly at Thanksgiving. We gathered at my parents' house awkwardly because Grandma wanted turkey and a controlled experiment. Her words. I sat beside her. Lauren sat across from us, stiff with politeness. During dessert, Lauren said, "Grandma, I hope you know none of us expect anything from you." Grandma looked at her, then stopped mentioning it. Michael choked on coffee. Lauren's face turned red. Grandma continued, "I have made my decisions. If any of you believe affection is a lottery ticket, you may be disappointed." My father looked down. Mom whispered, "Mother." Grandma said, "Carol, I am eating pie. Do not interrupt me unless the house is on fire." I loved her so much in that moment I could hardly breathe. After Thanksgiving, my family began trying in ways that were both sincere and awkward. Dad visited Grandma twice in December. He brought hearing aid batteries. He signed in. He stayed an hour and did not mention the will. Grandma told me this with cautious approval. Mom visited once with flowers and once with soup. Grandma said the soup was too salty, but the effort was new. Michael fixed the shelf in Grandma's apartment after Dad forgot. He sent me a photo, perhaps hoping I would log it somewhere. I sent a thumbs-up emoji. Petty? Maybe. Accurate? Yes. Lauren visited with her daughters and took no photos. That surprised me. Grandma said, she asked how I was and waited for the answer. That was progress. But progress does not erase history. It simply gives the future a different door. My relationship with Lauren remained tense. At Christmas, she cornered me in the kitchen while everyone else opened gifts. "I didn't know Mom hadn't invited you until that day," she said. I looked at her. "That is not what your text suggested." She looked down. I knew before dinner started. "How long before?" "An hour." "And you didn't call me?" She shook her head. "Why?" Her eyes filled, but no tears fell. "Because I liked being the one next to Grandma." There it was, ugly, honest. I waited. She continued. "You were always her person, even when we were kids. I hated it." "You could have visited her." "I know." "No, Lauren, that's the whole thing. You still say it like closeness was assigned. It was built." She wiped her eye. "I know that now." "Do you?" "I'm trying to." That was not enough for forgiveness, but it was enough for the conversation. She said, "I'm sorry I didn't call you." I waited, and I'm sorry I gave that toast, like you were there in spirit when I knew you weren't invited. "Thank you." "I'm not ready to stop being jealous," she said quietly. That almost made me laugh. At least that's honest. She smiled weakly. "I'm bad at this." "Yes." We both laughed once. Not repair, a crack in the wall. Grandma lived another 1.5 years. Good months, hard months, sharp months. For her 90th birthday, she insisted on a family dinner at Bellini's again. This time, I was invited. By Grandma herself, she said, "I have learned not to leave important guest lists to amateurs." Everyone came. No inheritance talk, no performances, no empty chairs used as decoration. At the end of the dinner, Grandma raised her glass of sparkling water. "To those who show up," she said. Then she looked around the table. "And to those learning." That was Grace, Grandma style. She died the following spring, on a Thursday morning, in her sleep, with the Sunday teacup on the table beside her bed because she had used it the afternoon before. I had visited that Wednesday. We drank tea, watched half an episode of her courtroom show, and argued about whether the defendant was lying. She said he was. The judge agreed. Grandma looked deeply satisfied. When I left, she said, "Rebecca Ann." I turned. "Yes?" "Do not become hard." I smiled sadly. "I'm trying." Become clear, hard things break, clear things cut. Those were the last words she said to me in person. The funeral was full. Grandma had collected people the way some collect china. Neighbors, church friends, old co-workers of Grandpa's, Rosewood staff, relatives, people I'd never met, who had apparently once received soup from her in 1987 and never forgot. Lauren cried, genuinely. Michael carried the casket with Dad. Mom wore the pearl earrings. I carried the Sunday teacup in a padded box in my purse because Grandma had told Mr. Langford she wanted it transferred to me before the service. So no one gets sentimental and stupid near the refreshments. Even grief could not stop me from laughing when he told me that. The will was not read dramatically. Mr. Langford sent copies to relevant parties and scheduled individual calls. There were no courtroom fireworks, no secret mansion, no shocking disinheritance. Grandma had been fair in the way people confuse with unequal, only when they have ignored the reasons. My father, Aunt Denise, and the other primary heirs received their shares from the estate. Personal items went as listed. The Great-Grandchild Education Trust was created. I received the Sunday teacup, the caregiving reimbursement, and a personal gift larger than anyone expected, but smaller than gossip later claimed. More importantly, I received a letter, Rebecca Ann. People will have opinions about what I gave you. Let them. Opinions are not debts. You gave me Sundays. Not because you wanted a will changed. You gave them before anyone was watching. You gave them when I was difficult, vain, lonely, funny, frightened, and stubborn. You gave me cookies, batteries, rides, clean sweaters, and the dignity of being treated like myself until the end. This is not payment. It is witness. Use it for something that makes your life lighter. Love. Grandma. I used part of it to pay off my car. I used part to take a trip to Maine, where Grandma had always wanted to see the coast but never did, because Grandpa hated long drives. I stood on a rocky beach with the Sunday teacup wrapped safely in my hotel room and let the Atlantic wind tear through my hair. I bought a lemon cookie at a bakery near the harbor and ate it alone on a bench. It tasted like grief and freedom. The family did not explode after the estate settled. That almost surprised me. There were whispers, of course. Aunt Denise said Grandma had been, quote, very influenced by proximity. Michael joked once that I should itemize holiday visits now. I looked at him until he apologized. Lauren was quiet for a long time. Then, 6 months after Grandma's funeral, Lauren asked if we could meet for coffee. I went because curiosity is sometimes stronger than caution. She looked tired, softer, less polished. I found something, she said. She pulled a folded paper from her purse. It was a photocopy of one of Grandma's visitor logs from Rosewood. Lauren had requested copies of her own visits, apparently, perhaps trying to prove something to herself. The page showed her visit on December 17th, the one with no photos. Duration, 72 minutes. Notes. Visitor sat with resident, discussed childhood memories. Resident appeared pleased. Lauren touched the line with one finger. I remember that visit, she said. I didn't post it. I waited. It felt different. Yes. I think I was always trying to look like I loved her instead of just loving her. That sentence was more self-aware than I expected. I said, Grandma knew you loved her. Lauren's eyes filled. She did? Yes. She also knew when you were performing. Lauren laughed through tears. That sounds like her. It was. She looked at me. I'm sorry for the birthday dinner. Not just for not inviting you, for wanting your place beside her without doing what you did to earn it. Specific. Finally, I nodded. Thank you. We are not best friends now. We may never be. But she visits my house sometimes. She asks about the teacup, but never touches it without asking. Last Christmas, she brought lemon cookies from Chestnut Street Bakery and said, "For your Sundays." That was the closest we have come to peace. The Sunday teacup sits in a glass front cabinet in my dining room. Not hidden, not worshipped, protected. Sometimes I drink from it on Grandma's birthday. Sometimes I just look at it and remember her saying, "I am old, not porcelain." I kept the photo from my birthday dinner too. Not framed, not displayed, saved in a folder. The empty chair at the end of the table remains one of the clearest pictures my family ever took of itself. They invited everyone to my birthday except me. Then Grandma's lawyer asked why I wasn't there. And when the visitor logs, receipts, messages, and Grandma's own memory reached the table, the performance collapsed quietly under the weight of what had always been true. Showing up is not a caption. Family is not a cake with someone's name on it. Love is not proven by sitting beside an old woman when a lawyer is watching. Love is the Sunday after Sunday, when there is no camera, no will update, no audience, no applause, and no guarantee anyone will ever know. But Grandma knew. And that was enough. Thank you for staying with me through this story. I know some of you have been left out, erased, or used as a prop by relatives who only perform love when there is something to gain. If Rebecca's story reached you, I hope you remember that the empty chair tells a story too. The truth of who showed up does not disappear just because people serve cake over it. Keep your receipts, keep your messages, keep your dignity, and never confuse being excluded from a performance with being forgotten by the person who actually mattered. Subscribe to Ultimate Revenge for more stories about quiet women, family betrayal, silent comebacks, and the documents that finally speak at the table. So tell me, if your family invited everyone to your birthday except you just to impress Grandma before her will update, would you confront them at the restaurant? Or would you let Grandma's lawyer ask why your chair was empty?